has been walking in circles inside their own heart, replaying your energy, your smile, the last interaction you shared, and the silence that followed. And I need you to hear this first. Someone around them finally looked them straight in the eyes and said something that shook them awake. Just do it. Tell them, stop overthinking. Take a slow breath with me for a second, because this energy feels important. This is a love reading. So take what resonates and gently leave what does not. But the first thing that comes through the cards is emotion that has been growing quietly for longer than you know. The energy feels like the Page of Cups sitting beside the Knight of Swords, soft feelings that suddenly want to rush forward. For a long time, this person tried to make their emotions smaller than they actually were. They told themselves it was just curiosity, just attraction, just a passing moment. But every time they tried to move forward, something about you kept pulling their heart back. Not in a dramatic or chaotic way, more like a quiet gravity. Pause here, because what I'm picking up is someone who has spent nights thinking about you more than they would ever admit out loud. Their mind keeps replaying certain memories, a laugh you shared, a moment of eye contact, something you said that stayed with them longer than it should have. Even small things became big in their heart. And here's the part that feels powerful. Someone close to them noticed. A friend, maybe even more than one person, started asking questions. They could see the distraction in this person's energy. They could see how your name changed the expression on their face. And eventually the advice came out very simply. Why are you still holding this in? Just tell them. Now listen carefully, sweetheart, because the reaction to that advice wasn't denial this time. It was silence. The kind of silence that happens when someone realizes the truth is already sitting in their chest. Pause for a breath. This person has been nervous to open their heart because the feelings are real, not surface level, not playful. Real emotion makes people vulnerable, and vulnerability is something they have been trying to control. They have been asking themselves questions over and over again. What if you moved on? What if you do not feel the same anymore? What if they waited too long? But the heart does not stop speaking just because the mind is afraid. The cards around this energy feel tender, almost shy. I keep seeing the image of someone holding their phone, typing a message, and then deleting it, starting again, putting the phone down, picking it back up. Their courage has been building in quiet moments like that. Another thing coming through strongly is a memory that refuses to fade. Something between the two of you created a feeling that felt unfinished. Maybe it was the way you looked at them once. Maybe it was a conversation that ended too soon. Maybe it was the way the connection felt natural without trying. Whatever it was, it became proof to them that what they felt was not imagined. Pause again, because this connection has not completely disappeared in their heart. Even when they tried to focus on other things, work, responsibilities, distractions, your energy would return to their mind unexpectedly. Almost like a whisper reminding them that the story between you two was never properly spoken. And the truth is, they are getting tired of pretending it does not matter. This is where the energy shifts. The hesitation that once protected them is slowly turning into pressure. The silence feels heavier now than the risk of speaking. And that friend's words, just do, it keep echoing in their thoughts like a gentle push from the universe. Take another slow breath, because the strongest message here is simple. This person is approaching the edge of honesty. The feelings that stayed hidden for so long are rising closer to the surface. They may still feel nervous, they may still hesitate for a moment, but something inside them is preparing to open the door. And you do not have to chase this moment. The energy around you right now is magnetic, calm, and quietly powerful. When someone finally decides to speak from their heart, it often happens when the other person is simply being themselves, living, breathing, shining without forcing anything. So stay where you are in your truth, because somewhere not too far from this moment, someone who has been holding back their feelings is gathering the courage to finally let their heart speak. Slowly, softly, but sincerely. The person has not only been feeling deeply, they have been losing sleep over what to do next. This is the kind of energy where someone stares at the ceiling at night and replays every possible outcome. They imagine you smiling. They imagine you pulling away. They imagine saying too much. They imagine not saying enough. Their mind has been amazed, but their heart keeps leading them back to the same door. You. There is something about your energy that feels safe to them, even if it also terrifies them. You represent a real chance, and that is exactly why this has been so hard. It is easier to flirt with fantasy than to risk a genuine bond, and this person knows that once they speak, everything changes. The connection stops living in the protected world of maybe and starts asking for truth, accountability, vulnerability, and emotional presence. That is a lot for someone who has been hiding behind pride or hesitation. Still, I see them reaching for courage now in a way they did not before. Pause for a breath here because this part feels important. I keep hearing that they have practiced this confession in private. They have said your name out loud when no one was around. They have imagined how they would start the conversation. They have wondered whether to be poetic, whether to be simple, whether to tell you everything, or whether to test the waters first and reveal their heart in small pieces. For many of you, the first message or first words may not reveal the full depth immediately, but do not let that fool you. This person is carrying much more than they first show. They are trying to protect the moment from going wrong. There is also a healing energy around you that they cannot ignore. Whether you realize it or not, you awaken something softer in them. You reminded them that love does not always have to feel like chaos, performance, or survival. For some of you, this person comes from emotional patterns where opening up felt unsafe, where being honest led to disappointment, or where timing always seemed to ruin something beautiful. So now that they feel something steady, they do not quite know how to hold it without shaking. That does not mean the feeling is weak. It means the feeling matters. I am seeing the image of hands hovering over a letter, a phone screen, a steering wheel. Just nerves, nerves, nerves. Their body is reacting to what their soul already decided. And I keep getting this very specific message. They are tired of receiving advice and doing nothing with it. The people around them have become mirrors. Their friends have noticed the longing, the distraction, the way their face changes when you come up. Someone may have even teased them lovingly, saying, "You are clearly in love, so what are you waiting for?" And instead of denying it this time, they got quiet because deep down they know there may also be regret here, sweetheart. Regret for how long they took. Regret for any confusion they caused. Regret for moments when they could have said more and chose silence. I feel them wishing they had been braver sooner. And this is where Spirit is really emphasizing compassion. Not because you must excuse everything, but because their delay came from fear, not indifference. Their silence was heavy because their feelings were heavy. Some people go quiet when they do not care. This one went quiet because they cared too much and did not know how to carry it. Pause again. Let that settle. The beautiful thing is that the energy is moving from hidden to tangible. Ace of Pentacles energy is not just a feeling. It is a gesture, an offer, a real-world step. So I do not feel this staying in fantasy for long. I feel planning. I feel choosing the right timing. I feel someone wanting to show up more sincerely, more clearly, more intentionally than before. They want their actions to match their emotions now. They want to stop leaving you with pieces and start giving you something you can actually hold. And for you, this reading is also asking for softness with discernment. You do not need to abandon your standards. You do not need to ignore your intuition. But you are being asked to recognize the difference between delayed truth and absent truth. This person has been delayed, yes, but their heart is no longer absent. It is pressing forward, trembling, carrying and offering, hoping the door is not locked, hoping your spirit still remembers theirs, hoping that the confession they have held back for so long can finally become the beginning instead of the ending. And I want you to know this, soul, the energy around you is magnetic right now. You do not have to chase a confession that is already gathering breath. Just stay present, stay radiant, stay true. What has been sitting in their chest is rising like a tide, and it is getting closer to shore with every heartbeat. And now the energy deepens because what was once only longing is turning into realization. This person is no longer just feeling you in passing moments or random memories. It is becoming impossible for them to deny that what lives in their heart has roots now. The cards here feel like the lovers beside the Seven of Pentacles, a soul connection growing quietly, and a person standing still looking at everything they have felt, wondering why it has become so real. Pause here for a second, because this is the part where they stop asking, "Do I feel something?" and start asking, "What am I going to do about it?" That shift matters. Before, they could hide behind confusion, timing, pride, or distance. But now the truth is clearer inside them, and clarity has a way of demanding action. I keep seeing this person reflecting on missed chances, moments where they could have opened the conversation more deeply, moments where they could have reached for you, moments where they almost confessed and then pulled themselves back. There is a tenderness in this regret. It feels like someone realizing they let fear speak louder than love for too long. Breathe with me slowly, because I want to say this gently. They have imagined your reaction more times than you know. They have pictured your eyes. They have pictured the sound of your voice. They have tried to prepare for every possible outcome because the thought of your response has power over them. That is how much this matters. A person does not rehearse emotional truth this many times unless the feeling runs deep. And what makes this even stronger is that their heart is beginning to want peace more than protection. That is a beautiful turning point. For so long, they have been trying to protect themselves from vulnerability, from uncertainty, from being seen too clearly. But carrying unsaid love has become its own burden. The silence is not protecting them anymore. It is haunting them. Pause again. Let that settle. I also feel that this person senses that you deserve honesty. They may not know exactly how to begin, but they know that keeping you in uncertainty forever is not fair. There is guilt around that. There is awareness around that. And even if they have not yet spoken everything aloud, the awakening is here. They are recognizing that true love cannot grow in half-light forever. There is a soft but powerful image coming through, almost like them holding a confession in their chest, the way someone holds a fragile glass object, carefully, nervously, reverently. They do not want to drop it. They do not want to ruin it by speaking at the wrong time or in the wrong way. This is why their approach may still feel slow. But slow does not mean empty. Careful does not mean untrue. In fact, this person is being careful because the feeling is sacred to them. Take another breath. The emotional message here is that they are starting to understand that you are not just a passing attraction in their story. You became a mirror, you became a possibility, you became the place where their heart started asking for something more meaningful, more grounded, more mutual. That can be terrifying for someone who has known love only through confusion or inconsistency. Yet it can also be healing, and I feel both energies around them, fear and healing. There may even be moments where they act oddly detached while secretly feeling overwhelmed. Do not let that confuse you too much. Some people become quieter right before they reveal something important. Some people retreat for one final moment before they step into courage. It is not always graceful. Sometimes confession begins with a nervous message, an unexpected check-in, a casual question that is actually carrying a much bigger truth underneath it. Pause here. Spirit keeps showing me that this person has crossed an inner line. They may not have crossed the outer line yet, but inwardly something has already happened. They know now. They know this connection changed them. They know your energy still lives with them. They know the truth is no longer something they can bury beneath logic, distraction, or excuses. And once a soul knows, the path back to silence becomes harder and harder to walk. So if you have been doubting your intuition, let this reading hold you for a moment. What you felt did not come from nowhere. The pull, the unfinishedness, the sense that something was still alive beneath the surface. It was real. Their heart has been ripening toward honesty, even when the process looked invisible from the outside. And the strongest closing message in this wave is this. The confession is not only about telling you they care, it is also about them finally becoming the version of themselves that can admit they care. That is the deeper transformation. They are not only reaching toward you, they are stepping out of their fear, one trembling heartbeat at a time. And love is teaching them how soon. And now the energy opens even deeper because what once lived quietly inside them is becoming impossible to ignore. It feels like someone standing at the edge of a bridge they have stared at for a long time, realizing they cannot stay on the same side forever. The cards here feel like the moon slowly giving way to the Sunday, hidden feelings slowly turning toward truth, confusion melting into clarity, fear standing face to face with love. Breathe in slowly and let it out slowly. This person has been carrying more than they ever allowed you to see. There were emotions under the surface, layers under layers, and for a while they convinced themselves that silence was the safest place to hide. Silence gave them control. Silence allowed them to imagine the connection without risking the reality of it. But silence has started to ache. It has started to feel heavy in their chest, heavy in their thoughts, heavy in the quiet hours of the night when everything slows down and the truth becomes louder. They may have appeared composed on the outside, calm, collected, unbothered. But underneath that surface, their heart has been anything but calm. There were moments where they smiled while thinking about you. Moments where they acted normal, while their mind drifted back to memories of you, moments where they kept conversations light, casual, almost too casual, because going deeper felt too dangerous. And now that mask is getting harder to hold, because something inside them has shifted. They are no longer just thinking about telling you how they feel. They are imagining what happens after the truth is spoken. That is important. This is not only about confession anymore, it is about possibility. They imagine being closer to you, speaking more honestly with you, being understood by you, building something that feels real instead of unfinished. And that thought both excites them and terrifies them. When they think about you deeply, not just on the surface, something soft appears in their heart. Not only desire, not only attraction, peace, warmth. The feeling that being near you could actually calm something restless inside them, and that is exactly why the confession feels so vulnerable. It is easy to admit attraction. It is much harder to admit that someone touches your heart in a place that feels healing. For many of you, this person has not always been comfortable expressing emotions. Maybe they were raised to keep feelings inside. Maybe they learned through past heartbreak that vulnerability can hurt. Maybe they became skilled at protecting themselves by staying guarded. So when they think about telling you the truth now, it is not just one brave sentence, it is an entire wall beginning to crack. Their delay was not because you were forgettable. Their silence was not because you meant nothing. Their hesitation was not because the spark was weak. It was because the feeling became real, and real emotions ask for courage. There are moments where they almost argue with themselves internally. One voice says, "What if this changes everything?" Another voice answers, "Everything already changed the moment you fell." One voice whispers, "Wait a little longer." Another voice insists, "If you wait longer, you might lose them." And that inner conflict has been exhausting them. Living in almost is tiring. Living in maybe slowly drains the heart. And they are reaching the point where speaking feels easier than continuing to hide. So the approach may begin gently. A message, a small check-in, a casual conversation that seems ordinary at first. But underneath the simple words, there will be a deeper energy moving, waiting for the right moment to reveal itself. They may test the emotional space before revealing everything. Feeling the atmosphere, sensing your openness, watching your reaction carefully, but the truth will be there quietly sitting between the lines, waiting for the second it finally spills out, because your energy has remained with them in a way they cannot fully explain. You became one of those thoughts that return when the world grows quiet, one of those names the heart repeats when nobody is listening. One of those connections that refuses to disappear just because time passes, and connections like that are very hard to outrun. They may have tried in their own way, staying busy, distracting themselves, convincing their mind it was nothing, yet somehow your presence keeps meeting them again in the deepest rooms of their heart. So what is happening now is slow, but undeniable. They are softening, they are preparing, they are gathering the courage they once avoided. They are moving from silent longing toward spoken truth. And as this unfolds, you are simply being asked to remain steady in your own energy. Let them come forward with the honesty that has been building inside them. Let the confession arrive in its natural timing. And now the energy reaches that trembling point where the heart can no longer hide behind excuses, because what they feel has become louder than what they fear. This part of the reading feels like the Eight of Wands with the Queen of Cups, movement rushing toward emotion. A message carried by pressure that has been building for far too long, and the heart finally realizing that silence is no longer protection. It is delay, it is longing, it is unfinished truth. Their thoughts keep circling back to you, not once in a while, not only on lonely nights, but in ordinary moments too, while walking, while working, while trying to focus on something else, while hearing a song, while seeing something. And the more they try to treat it like a passing feeling, the more it proves that it is not passing at all. This person has reached the stage where your presence lives in the spaces between things, in the pause after a conversation ends, in the silence before sleep, in the strange tenderness that appears when they least expect it. You've become part of their atmosphere, and that is not easy for them to dismiss anymore. There is an ache here. It feels like someone realizing that holding everything in has not made the feelings disappear. It has only made them deeper, more concentrated, more intense. What they tried to contain has started pressing against every wall they built inside themselves. And now those walls are not as solid as they once were. I keep sensing that this person is imagining the confession like a doorway. Once they step through it, there is no going back to pretending, no going back to acting unaffected, no going back to hiding behind small talk and distance. That is why this moment feels so huge in their spirit. It is not just about saying the words, it is about changing the direction of the connection. For some of you, they want to tell you that they missed you. For others, they want to tell you they never stopped thinking about you. For others, they want to confess that what began as attraction turned into genuine emotion. Something softer, something deeper, something that scared them because it felt real. And yes, there is still nervousness. A lot of nervousness, their confidence rises, then falls. They feel ready, then they overthink. They rehearse the message, then delete it. They imagine your smile, then imagine rejection. But even with all of that, the energy is still moving forward. Because the truth has started to demand a voice. This person may also be feeling the weight of time now. They know that too much silence creates distance. They know that waiting forever can become its own answer. And I feel them realizing that if they do not speak soon, they may carry regret much longer than they can bear. That awareness is pushing them, not in a rushed way, but in a real way. What is so striking here is that they are not only afraid of losing you, they are afraid of being seen, afraid of exposing the tenderness they kept hidden. Afraid of revealing that beneath whatever mask they wore, detached, playful, inconsistent, calm, there was actually a heart feeling far more than it ever showed. That is why this confession may come out imperfectly. The words may shake, the tone may seem cautious, they may not say everything in one breath. They may circle the truth before landing directly on it, but what matters is the sincerity underneath it. What matters is that this person is moving closer to honesty than they have ever been before. And your energy in this reading feels magnetic, but also self-possessed. There is something about your spirit that does not need to force anything. That is part of why they are drawn to you. You carry a softness, but also a quiet power. You do not have to chase the truth out of someone who is already being led toward it by their own heart. I also feel a sweet vulnerability around the words they want to say. Like they are searching for language beautiful enough to hold what they feel. They do not want this to sound shallow. They do not want it to sound careless. They want you to understand that this has lived inside them for a while. That this is not impulsive in the empty sense. It may happen suddenly, yes, but the emotion itself has been ripening in silence. So the message here is clear. They are reaching the point where keeping quiet hurts more than speaking. They are reaching the point where longing becomes action. They are reaching the point where the confession stops being a fantasy and starts becoming a decision. And that decision carries your name all over it. So stay open, stay grounded, stay in your own light. Because the heart that has been hesitating at the edge of truth is gathering itself, breath by breath, thought by thought, courage by courage. And the moment it has been resisting for so long is beginning to open like a door at dawn, soft, glowing, undeniable, ready. It is almost here now. And now we arrive at the final unfolding of this reading. The moment where everything sitting in their chest begins to gather into one living truth. The energy here feels like judgment with the Ace of Cups, a heart waking up, a soul realizing it cannot keep circling the same feeling forever. And a confession rising not as impulse, but as destiny meeting courage. They have reached the edge of themselves, the place where excuses sound thin, where fear sounds tired, where silence no longer feels wise, only heavy, because what they feel for you has grown beyond the container they tried to keep it in. It has moved through them in waves, through memory, through longing, through unfinished thoughts, through moments where your name appears in their mind with no warning at all. And now there is a powerful awareness settling over them. If they do not speak, this feeling will keep asking for a voice anyway. That is the truth of this final energy. The heart wants release. The heart wants honesty. The heart wants to be known. I keep sensing them standing before a message, a call, a conversation, rehearsing not only the words, but the emotional risk of the words. They want to tell you that you mattered more than they let on. They want to tell you that this connection stayed with them. They want to tell you that no matter how much time passed, distance stretched, or silence settled in, something in them never fully left you. And this confession feels deeply emotional because it carries more than affection. It carries regret. It carries hope. It carries the ache of almost, and it carries the quiet dream that maybe this story is not over yet. For some of you, they may confess gently, for others more suddenly than expected. But either way, the truth underneath it feels the same. I cannot hide this anymore. I cannot keep pretending this did not change me. I cannot keep standing outside a door my heart keeps asking me to open. There is a tenderness around them now that was not there before. They are softer, more aware, more humbled by their own feelings. Love has a way of doing that. It strips away performance. It strips away pride. It takes a person back to what is simple and frightening and sacred all at once. The need to be real. This is also why Spirit keeps bringing in the image of dawn. Not a loud explosion, not chaos, dawn. Because this confession feels like light slowly returning after a long emotional night. Fear is still there. Yes, but it is no longer the strongest force in the room. Truth is stronger now. Love is stronger now. The desire to know what this can become is stronger now, and your energy in this final part feels beautifully centered, as though your spirit already knew something was approaching, as though a part of you could feel the shift long before it became visible. So if you have been sensing movement, warmth, or the return of their energy around you, trust that your heart has been listening to currents the mind could not yet explain. There is one more message here, and it matters. Their confession is not only a gift offered to you, it is also a liberation for them, a breaking of the chains they placed around their own heart, a decision to stop letting fear write the story. So when this person comes forward, remember they may still be nervous, they may stumble, they may not say every perfect word. But sincerity is all over this energy. Real feeling is all over this energy. This is not shallow. This is not empty. This is a heart that tried to stay silent and simply could not anymore. So let this final message settle softly into your spirit. What is meant for you does not stay buried forever. What is real does not disappear just because it was delayed. What is written in the heart always looks for a way to speak, and the heart connected to yours is gathering that voice now, gathering that truth now, gathering the courage to step out of hiding and into honesty. The confession you have felt circling this connection is no longer just potential. It is becoming choice. It is becoming movement. It is becoming breath. And very soon, the love they tried to contain will reach the surface like sunrise over still water. Gentle, glowing, impossible to stop. Listen carefully. Let your intuition sit beside your heart, because this reading is not asking you to abandon your wisdom for romance. It is showing you that love becomes most beautiful when truth finally has room to breathe. You are allowed to receive slowly. You are allowed to notice what is said and what is done. You are allowed to welcome sincerity while still honoring your own boundaries. That balance is part of your power. But make no mistake, something real is opening here. A guarded person is becoming brave. A hidden heart is becoming visible. An unsent confession is becoming spoken. And the bond between you is reaching the moment where it can no longer live only in imagination. A soul realizing it cannot keep circling the same feeling forever. And a confession rising not as impulse but as destiny meeting courage. They have reached the edge of themselves, the place where excuses sound thin, where fear sounds tired, where silence no longer feels wise, only heavy, because what they feel for you has grown beyond the container they tried to keep it in. It has moved through them in waves, through memory, through longing, through unfinished thoughts, through moments where your name appears in their mind with no warning at all. And now there is a powerful awareness settling over them. If they do not speak, this feeling will keep asking for a voice anyway. That is the truth of this final energy. The heart wants release. The heart wants honesty. The heart wants to be known. I keep sensing them standing before a message, a call, a conversation, rehearsing not only the words, but the emotional risk of the words. They want to tell you that you mattered more than they let on. They want to tell you that this connection stayed with them. They want to tell you that no matter how much time passed, distance stretched, or silence settled in, something in them never fully left you. And this confession feels deeply emotional because it carries more than affection. It carries regret. It carries hope. It carries the ache of almost, and it carries the quiet dream that maybe this story is not over yet. For some of you, they may confess gently, for others more suddenly than expected. But either way, the truth underneath it feels the same. I cannot hide this anymore. I cannot keep pretending this did not change me. I cannot keep standing outside a door my heart keeps asking me to open. There is a tenderness around them now that was not there before. They are softer, more aware, more humbled by their own feelings. Love has a way of doing that. It strips away performance. It strips away pride. It takes a person back to what is simple and frightening and sacred all at once. The need to be real. This is also why Spirit keeps bringing in the image of dawn. Not a loud explosion, not chaos, dawn. Because this confession feels like light slowly returning after a long emotional night. Fear is still there. Yes, but it is no longer the strongest force in the room. Truth is stronger now. Love is stronger now. The desire to know what this can become is stronger now, and your energy in this final part feels beautifully centered, as though your spirit already knew something was approaching, as though a part of you could feel the shift long before it became visible. So if you have been sensing movement, warmth, or the return of their energy around you, trust that your heart has been listening to currents the mind could not yet explain. There is one more message here, and it matters. Their confession is not only a gift offered to you, it is also a liberation for them, a breaking of the chains they placed around their own heart, a decision to stop letting fear write the story. So when this person comes forward, remember they may still be nervous, they may stumble, they may not say every perfect word. But sincerity is all over this energy. Real feeling is all over this energy. This is not shallow. This is not empty. This is a heart that tried to stay silent and simply could not anymore. So let this final message settle softly into your spirit. What is meant for you does not stay buried forever. What is real does not disappear just because it was delayed. What is written in the heart always looks for a way to speak, and the heart connected to yours is gathering that voice now, gathering that truth now, gathering the courage to step out of hiding and into honesty. The confession you have felt circling this connection is no longer just potential. It is becoming choice. It is becoming movement. It is becoming breath. And very soon, the love they tried to contain will reach the surface like sunrise over still water. Gentle, glowing, impossible to stop. Listen carefully. Let your intuition sit beside your heart, because this reading is not asking you to abandon your wisdom for romance. It is showing you that love becomes most beautiful when truth finally has room to breathe. You are allowed to receive slowly. You are allowed to notice what is said and what is done. You are allowed to welcome sincerity while still honoring your own boundaries. That balance is part of your power. But make no mistake, something real is opening here. A guarded person is becoming brave. A hidden heart is becoming visible. An unsent confession is becoming spoken. A soul realizing it cannot keep circling the same feeling forever. And a confession rising not